Hello, I'm Thomas Haire, Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association serving companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the latest episode of Take 20, created by the PDMI's Brand Response Council. I felt like I was a super ding right there in my ear. Awesome. Ding. These 20-minute live conversations featuring leaders in the performance marketing world are speaking about the hottest topics in the industry are scheduled twice a month. Before we get to today's conversation, a housekeeping note: we'll be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of the day's session. You don't have to wait to ask them. Please utilize the questions tab in your control panel to type and send your question in. We'll be collecting them. We'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of the episode. Today's episode is a preview of next week's in-person PDMI West event in San Diego. It's the industry's first in-person trade show in nearly 2 years, and don't I know it. And it's got all the events and opportunities of the PDMI's past shows: 3 days of open meeting hall, 2 evening networking parties outside, 9 educational sessions, and 1 big keynote from J.R. Martinez. What can you expect from the show? Well, I'm here with our Take 20 host, Chris Foster of Modern Postcard, to chat about the event and to fill you in on how PDMI West will take shape. Chris, I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy to hear your thoughts as an attendee about PDMI West, who's looking forward to the event and kind of where you're at as we get rolling here next week.
That's a great question, Thomas, and thanks for having me on this. I'm looking forward to next week. So I came back from a trade show, which is pretty large, a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it was about a month ago, the first week of September. I attended the White Label Expo, which was in Las Vegas. They purported to have about maybe 10,000 attendees at the show. It was all very safe from a COVID perspective. Everybody was wearing masks indoors. Las Vegas was very clear about the mask mandate in any indoor area. And so people were wearing masks and, talking with people, but there was this sense of a thrill to be back with other businesses face to face, right? Going to a conference, talking to other professionals outside of your own company, outside of your own normal interaction in your circle of networked colleagues, meeting other people from other businesses is just invaluable. Everybody learns something. Everybody's got something to share, and everyone has a perspective and an insight that you wouldn't necessarily get otherwise from your normal insular, circle of colleagues. So that was one thing that I'd forgotten about with the live face-to-face meetings, Thomas, is that there is a special connection and more so, I think, a special learning that happens. Everyone coming out of that expo is like, I met this person and learned this. I met this person and learned that. And there was a sense of business community that just gets lost a little bit in the virtual world. So very looking forward to doing that. And, I live in San Diego, so I know that this is an extremely safe city. We've got high vaccination rates. The protocols have been very well enforced, and especially the business community here is very cognizant about their role in keeping everyone else safe besides themselves. So I'm looking forward to having this event, and I think it's going to be really safe. I think the protocols will be in place and get to see other people.
Yeah. I mean, that's the goal, right? Is to feel comfortable and feel good, and then get those face-to-face meetings going. Feel great about those. There's really nothing like it. We've done 80 plus 85-ish webinars since June of 2020 here at the PDMI, and it's really going to be great from the content perspective for me to get live content out in front of people with our sessions, but even more so to just see people, shake hands, all of that stuff. And as you noted, we have protocols in place at the event. Masks will be required in all 3 of the indoor areas that the trade show handles, which is the registration area, our meeting hall, and in the education theater. And masks will be strongly recommended as you walk around the inside parts of the Hard Rock. For one, if I know I'm wearing a mask somewhere, I probably just throw it on and keep it on while I'm walking around until I get outside or get back to my room. But the good news also, outside parties, both the cocktail parties being outside, will be on local mandates there, and locally there is no mask requirement when you're at an outdoor venue. So masks will be your own comfort to your own comfort when we go to those outdoor parties. So that's great. Yeah, so we're looking forward to it.
So I think that, I guess one question that I would have, Thomas, is you start preparing for this conference, what are some of the expectations that I would see as an attendee versus my memory of what PDMI was a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I think, it's a realistic expectations. We're not going to have the 1,100 people that we had 2 years ago. I think everyone realizes that. I think that's important to say, but we do have closing in on about 250 companies that have registered at least one person for the show, which that tells us good things about where we're going to be at. I think we have 50 sponsoring companies who got behind the show, and that's a huge number. That's actually much closer to our normal flow of sponsoring companies who believe in what we're doing and believe what we're trying to accomplish here. So I think, the expectation level should be, you're going to have some time to meet, and see all of your old friends, all of your old cohorts, your clients, your competitors. You're going to have a chance to meet with new folks. Really excited about some of the new folks who have registered for this event compared to 2 years ago. I think it's going to be a very exciting time for folks who are there to have the opportunity to have real interesting and wide-ranging conversations with those who have joined them there. From an overall operational perspective, you're going to see what you see at a PDMI event. 3 days of meeting hall. That meeting hall is going to be open starting Monday at noon, from noon to 4, and then 9 to 5 Tuesday and Wednesday, and we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 sponsored tables that'll be operating there throughout the day, plus a lot of open seating for folks to come in and have their meetings. We're going to have refreshments all day, from coffee and tea in the morning to beer and wine in the afternoon. All the normal stuff that you're going to see at a trade show will be there, thanks to our sponsors and those who believe in us. We have a great keynote from J.R. Martinez. If you don't know who J.R. Martinez is, take a Google. You'll probably remember pretty quickly. He was an Army soldier. Suffered burns over about a third of his body in a IED attack in Iraq back in 2004. Recovered, and more than recovered, became an actor on All My Children, won Dancing with the Stars, season 13. Is now one of the most in-demand speakers on the keynote circuit, and we're really excited. His message is focused on adapt and overcome. And boy, if we haven't been adapting and overcoming the last 18 months, I don't know what else we've been doing. So I think it's going to be a great message to kick things off on Monday night. And then obviously 2 big networking events, as I mentioned, Monday night, 6 to 8, Tuesday night, 5:30 to 7:30, both out at the pool deck at the Hard Rock. And if you've been to the Hard Rock Hotel in San Diego, you know that rooftop pool deck's a gorgeous spot for an evening party. Temperatures looking like they're going to be in the mid 70s. So be ready to get outside. If you're in the Northeast and you're already starting to see the weather turn, you're gonna be excited to be in San Diego next week for sure. And those parties, thanks to our sponsors at Extreme Reach and Lockard and Wexler Direct for supporting those parties for 2 hours of cocktails and conversation, great hors d'oeuvres and so forth. So we expect actually pretty big crowds at those parties. I mean, none of us have, as far as I know, not none of us, but most of us have not been to a networking event in 2 years. So the chance to have a drink in hand and stand outside and catch up with folks seems pretty inviting to a lot of folks. So we're looking forward to those as well. And then last but not least, my baby is the education, the 9 sessions that we're going to have over 2 days. So it's really a full trade show. It really is. It's a full trade show, and it's really going to be a great scene setter. I think that, again, the folks who come are going to be really excited and have a great show, but it's going to be a really great scene setter for all of us as we look ahead to 2022 and see the full-scape crowds return to our events and fill up all the rooms of these educational events.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. And I think that beyond the networking, which is going to be fantastic and really going to be seeing those folks, I'm really looking forward to these educational sessions, Thomas. I think that the way it's been structured, there are certain things that I'm really curious about as professional, right? So I'm really interested, starting off day one, first thing, 9 a.m. on Tuesday, thinking about that attribution and customer journey analytics. That's something where it's such an interesting topic, but you get so much more out of it when it's live versus maybe a digital or Zoom kind of webinar situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great thing that was pulled together by LeadsRx, PDMI member company. AJ Brown of LeadsRx actually spoke at one of our virtual events, and he has succeeded in bringing Rakuten to take part in this and talk about, how they are structuring attribution. Obviously, multi-touch attribution, customer journey, all those things, big buzzwords, big important topics. I think this is going to be a really interesting look at where attribution is today, how it's going to evolve throughout the next few years, campaign optimization, as we look at how data privacy is, that is such a huge issue and is going to affect everything to do with attribution and customer journey. I think there's going to be a nice focus on that. Should be a really solid session. And I know that AJ, who was part of the session again at one of our virtual events, really brought a lot to the table there, and I expect this is going to be the same. This one.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. And right after that on Tuesday is a topic that I think that has been, I should say, underrepresented in terms of the idea of the U.S. Hispanic marketplace and the new census results. I think that's going to be groundbreaking in terms of the insights that we're going to find of where media can go in the next several years.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the U.S. Hispanic Council, one of our 5 councils in the PDMI, obviously the Brand Response Council is the one who presents you this Take 20, but U.S. Hispanic has been doing great work all along as a council, and this I think is going to be, this idea popped up much earlier this year. They've been working on this for months, basically in preparation for the census results to drop, and then when the first part of that dropped late this summer, they were right on top of it. And obviously, Hispanic community driving much of the growth across America and population in this census. And what does that mean for marketers? The expansion of opportunity. These are very committed consumers. They're very social consumers. The Hispanic consumer is right in the wheelhouse of what performance marketers want and need out of consumers. And so it's, this group, we're very lucky to have this group coming together, 2 members of the council, obviously a local representation from Telemundo 20 in San Diego, Diana Diaz, and Federico Garza from Telemundo. He is the head of research at Telemundo Network, at the overall Telemundo. He came from iHeartMedia, where he was leading research there in the Hispanic space. Just a supreme expert in this, and I think this group is going to put on quite an event for anyone who's interested in tapping this market going forward.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then what I find then is that when I look at across the next day or so, one of the ones that really struck my eye too is building the store of your dreams. And I had actually spoken with Chris Snyder from Shopify, who's going to be the moderator for this. And I'm telling you, he really knows his stuff when it comes to Shopify and those websites.
Yeah, Chris is fantastic. He's a real leader in this space, and he has an expertise in delivering great content as well as part of his role at Shopify. He brought 2 wonderful merchants here to the table in Amalfi and Crystal Bar Soap, who have built an e-commerce business. Each of them built it themselves. Amalfi is a fashion business. Crystal Bar Soap, it's probably right there in the name. So both really interesting and different stories about building an online store, driving traffic to that online store, using different facets of performance marketing to get the customers there and to build a business that is really booming for each of them. And Chris is going to bring a great story to the table there. And we're excited to have a Shopify as part of our speaker group this time around. It's been a goal of ours for a number of years to bring Shopify in as an e-commerce leader, and we're glad to have them.
Yeah, and what is interesting about that is virtually versus live in person. It gives attendees the chance to actually talk with Chris after the presentation, right? Because what usually happens is after a presentation, a lot of people have questions they don't want to ask in front of an entire group. Then you've got a real market leader there in the room to answer your questions, plus they're out in the networking event as well. So there's just a whole host of opportunities to learn and to engage with some of the industry leaders.
Absolutely. That's one of the key things we always say is that the folks who you're going to see in these sessions, the bulk of them will be around the show and at the cocktail parties and able to like directly answer questions you have about what they're doing and what their opportunities are. So I think it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I know Chris will be a very active attendee. We like active attendees.
Right. Yeah, what's interesting too is right after that is thinking about funding the media program with Daniel Rodriguez from Clearco being moderated by our friend Brian Norris at NBC Universal. Again, two people to meet and talk with, not only during the moderation, but afterwards, right? To get in touch, talk with them, really find out how you as business might take advantage of some of these new ideas of funding.
Yeah, and Daniel's a great source. I mean, Clearco, Clearbank, they we talk about capital for campaigns, capital for your product, capital for whatever in the performance marketing space, and Clearco and Clearbank's positioning with how they fund things puts them right at the nexus of our three biggest groups, which is the marketers themselves, the agencies that serve them, the outlets that run the advertising, whether it's TV, digital, whatever. Clearco and Clearbank works with all three of those groups directly. And when they work on a campaign, so it's interesting. I just was on a call with them this morning as they kind of finalized what the presentation was going to be and discuss what they're going to attack. And I think it's going to be a great, interesting thing, and really is going to start leading off into what we hope is more discussions about VC and PE funding in the performance marketing space as we look ahead to 2022. So I think it's going to be a really worthwhile session.
Yeah, and what I also see afterwards is the kind of competing in the e-commerce world, a different take than what they're going to have with Shopify, more about how an e-commerce organization competes in the world of Amazon and Walmart and the like. And I know one of the confirmed speakers is Kathy Moore from Fair Portal. She was a guest not only in the 20s, but also in last year's summit, where she's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to some of the new tactics that are successful.
Yeah, Kathy's great. She's such a vet, and she's been on both sides of the equation, agency side, product side. Now, Fair Portal as a travel service side. She is an expert, and she has evolved incredibly with how marketing has evolved, and she's always such a great wealth. She's actually going to be on the next Take 20 too in October 13th. So she's fantastic. Just had a meeting with them this week, and Mai Willen from Verb Direct. She's a local to San Diego as well. Really knowledgeable in the affiliate media space, among other things. So this is a production of our new e-commerce council, which just launched this summer. Greg Silvano from Mojo. Mojo, thank you for your support. Mojo is the overall educational sponsor of PDMI West, and Greg, as the leader of our e-commerce council, really has a good handle on where this is going to go. And again, as we look ahead to 2022, with the e-commerce council, competing and coexisting is going to be kind of an overriding theme, I think, as the e-commerce council begins to build out its 2022 content as well.
Yeah, well, it's packed full of education. It's packed full of contacts. And I think most importantly for me, Thomas, what I'm excited about is that it's packed full of conversation, right, and connections. Meeting people again that we've known virtually, seeing them face to face, building those personal relationships that are so important within our community and within our career paths and within the business network, but also to learn from these folks face to face. I can't wait to have a drink with Chris from Shopify and ask him some very specific questions, or to try to hook up with Brian or Daniel about different funding ideas. Just having that personal face-to-face conversation over a cocktail, you just can't beat it.
Yeah, no, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it, absolutely, and it's you can't replicate it. You can't replicate the buzz. I remember after the first big virtual event we did, my wife asked me, she was downstairs, and I came down, and she goes, "So how do you feel now it's over?" And I was like, nothing like I feel like when an in-person event is over.
Right.
I'm glad it went well. We did a great job, I feel like, and the content was good, but now I'm just going to come downstairs and make dinner with you guys. Not to say that that's horrible, but it's wonderful. But it's like, it's not the same, man. It's just not the same. So the buzz of being there together, the buzz of accomplishment, the buzz of partnership, the buzz of learning, the buzz of conversation, one-on-one. It's great. You know, I mean, I think too, the way that we structure the education, you know, there's a couple of these are going to be kind of presentation heavy or presentation heavier, you know, like I feel like the Shopify one is going to have a little bit more presentation vibe to it, the first half of it. Same probably with the last one on Wednesday, the skincare with Skin Authority. There's going to be a little bit more presentation of those, just because there has to be, because they're actually giving you case studies. But for the bulk of these sessions, they're conversational, and they're going to require the attendees who are in that room to be conversational with them. You know, ask your questions, get out there, and you know, don't be shy. We've been waiting 2 years to see people in front of us talking about these things. If you got a question, raise your hand and go for it. You know, you're part of the conversation. We're all part of this conversation. If performance marketing is going to continue to grow, and the PDMI is going to continue to help it grow, all of us have to be part of it. And that's what really gets me about the first in-person event, is that it's our first chance, really, it feels like, in 2 years to really make a big push forward as a group. Whether you're having a cocktail, listening to a speaker in a meeting you scheduled, whatever it is, it's our chance to start shining again.
Yep, I agree. Can't wait. Do we have any questions at all from the attendees of this webinar?
Got one in asking about our research and media outlet roundtables, which I understand those two are obviously those are two very popular topics with our attendees. Asking for a little bit more exposition because both of those came together like we knew we were going to do them, but the groups and the topicality came together probably over the last 3 weeks, as you might imagine, given COVID. To get to 30 speakers at this show, I've gone through about 45 speakers.
Right.
People who committed and then couldn't do it, and it's totally understandable. People just, you know, we understand if people can't come or don't feel comfortable coming. It's the way it is, the way of the world. But the people who are coming to speak, some of them came in a little bit later. So our media outlet roundtable, Dish, MeTV, NBCU, moderated by Canella Media. It's going to be what you've come to expect. You know, it's what you come to expect out of this conversation. Where are we at now? Where are we heading? We're going to talk a lot about streaming. We're going to talk a lot about the upfront. The big hype on those upfront numbers and what that's done to the scatter market, what it's going to do to the DR market, where the opportunities are for performance marketers and streaming. You know, measurement attribution, you know, with Nielsen kind of scuffling along a little bit lately in their relationship with their numbers. What's measurement attribution look like? All that kind of stuff. We're really going to tackle all of that. And again, the same thing in the research roundtable. This group of research companies, media monitors, DR Metrics, Kantar. There are research partners. Nielsen was one of those ones that couldn't join us. They couldn't travel, couldn't take part. But we've got Nielsen likely coming up in the first half of 2022 in the Take 20 realm, most likely. But again, each of these groups is going to present the latest and greatest of their expertise. I know Media Monitor is going to be focusing on a couple of special vertical markets. Kantar is going to be looking at a more widespread look at where we're at right now, especially looking into digital numbers and so forth. DR Metrics is going to continue to update the tremendous work that they've done throughout the pandemic of looking at where the market rose and fall since March of 2020 and where it stands today and where it's going in 2022. So both sessions are going to be fantastic. We expect both to be very well attended, as they always are.
Absolutely. And we had a really wonderful Take 20s with Joseph and Rich from DR Metrics and Kantar, respectively. And I'm excited just to see them face to face, because in 25 minutes, you can't talk about it all.
No doubt about it. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. So hopefully we answered that question and answered it well. So Chris, thank you for talking back and forth here and chatting about it. Look forward to seeing you next week. Absolutely. It's going to be a great time, and look forward to seeing all of you who plan to join us. Before I jump back into that, your next opportunity to attend a live online Take 20 is Wednesday, October 13th, when we return to the Back To series and take a look at how the travel industry is rebounding, hence Kathy Moore taking part in that. Please visit thepdmi.com/take-20 to check out the upcoming schedule and register to attend today. We do certainly hope to see you next week at PDMI West at the Hard Rock Hotel San Diego. Don't miss out our online badge pre-sale, which gives each attendee a $100 discount from on-site badge prices. Ends Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern. So get your badge before Friday at 5. Visit thepdmi.com/pdmi-west to get that badge and for more information about the show. Thank you again for checking out this episode of Take 20. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your work week. Be well, and we'll see you in San Diego. Take care.
Next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.